and it goes like that, or it goes the other way. Might be shaded in, might be an open circle. Compound inequalities are a combination, compound, weird, who would have thought, a combination of two inequalities by joining with the word and or the word or, and they look a little different. So this is a normal one. An and inequality is where you have two dots and they connect. And an or inequality is where you have two dots and they go opposite ways. So I'm going to go more into that as I go on with the lesson, but compound inequalities, just there's two dots and the lines either connect or go opposite ways. If for some reason you try and graph one and you get one where the line goes this way and then the other one where the line goes this way, that's not right. They either need to go together or apart. You can't have them both going one direction. Okay. So there's and or. So the and is where they come together. The or is where they go separate ways. I'm going to do like one example of each. So this is what they look like. So an and compound inequality is an intersection of the graphs. They come together and merge. So first I'm going to graph each inequality separately and then show you them graphed together. So x is greater than or equal to 2. So it'll be a closed circle on 2, arrow going that way. X is less than 5 will be an open circle on 5 going that way. Now, when I graph them together, I always like to start with this part first, where the letter is on the left side, because remember when we graph inequalities, the letter needs to be on the left side so that it reads correctly. So x is less than 5. So, I mean, I already did it up here, but if you hadn't done it separately, I like to start with the one on the left and graph it, and then do my other half of the inequality, but write it so that the letter is on the left-hand side. So that it'll be a closed circle at 2 going this way. And then since they are merging together, the lines don't go on forever. It's just this little section right here. So does that make sense on what I did? I just kind of graphed each half and then drew the line. So that is an and inequality. Here's an or compound inequality. This is a union of the graphs. It shows numbers that are solutions of either inequality. So it's going to show two separate inequalities on one number line together. So I have y is less than or equal to -2. So that will be a closed circle at -2 going that way. And then I have y is greater than 1, which will be an open circle there going that way. But then you'll get a sentence that looks like this, and you'll graph them both on the same number line. So I'm going to graph each one individually. And that is what it'll look like. So you'll have them going in two opposite ways. Any questions about graphing compound inequalities? Okay. So this is writing compound inequalities. So it says a number x is greater than -8 and less than or equal to 4. So an and inequality is where the letter's in the middle, and then I have them on either side of it. So what I like to do is start by putting the letter in the middle, and then I'll work on each side. So I first have a number is greater than -8, and since my two numbers are -8 and 4, I'm going to put -8 on this side because it's smaller than 4, and then I'm going to put 4 on this side. So I like to do this, put my letter and then my two numbers, and then put the signs in. So a number x is greater than -8. So x is greater than -8. So alligator mouth towards x, because x is greater, and less than or equal to -4. So -4 or is less than or equal to, so it'll be underlined, and then x is less than, so it'll have the mouth towards the 4. Now I'm going to go and graph these two, and it's an and, so they should point towards each other and connect. So I'm going to start with this half of the equation. Closed circle. Oh, oops, that's -4. Closed circle at 4. Going this way. And then -8. Rewriting it so it's like this. So it'll be an open circle at 8 going this way. And the two lines connect. It doesn't go past that. So that is how we graph or write it from a sentence and then graph it. Here's an example of or. So once again, I put my numbers, y, or my letter, and then my numbers, 0, 2. And this one is an or, so I'm going to have y twice because it's the word or, so I write it twice. So I have a number y is at most 0 or at least 2. So when I see the words at most or at least, I know it's going to be the underlined inequality sign, because it's saying it could be, or it could be something other than that. Whereas if it says it's no greater than, then you know it's just the greater than or less than symbol. Okay, y is at most 0. So then I'm going to have my mouth towards the 0, and at least 2, I'm going to have my mouth towards the y. Does that make sense what I did there? I feel like I did not explain that well. Do you need me to explain it again? It like came out of my mouth and I was like, that didn't make sense. Okay. So I know they're going to be underlined because it's at most or at least. So at most, it's 0. So that means that 0 is going to be bigger because most is bigger. So open towards 0. Most means bigger. Least means smaller. So then I'm going to have the mouth towards the y because it's saying that it's smaller than 2. That makes sense. So now I'm going to graph these each separately, and since it's an or, they should be going opposite ways. So they are going separate ways, so I knew I did it correctly. Okay, I've had other people having issues with Wi-Fi today too. I don't know if it's on my end or your guys' end. I'm very sorry. Okay, here's an example of solving compound inequalities. So what we were doing last week was solving them, but it wasn't compound, so it wasn't two of them on the same graph. So this time we're going to be solving them and then graphing them on the same graph. So it's the same steps as solving before, except this one, there's like kind of two numbers on the side. So my recommendation is to break it up into two separate equations. We have equation 1, and then we have equation 2. So they both, whoa, that went crazy. They both share the middle, but then that way we have two separate equations and it's a little bit easier to solve. So we can solve these separately because that's what we were doing last week. So I'm going to start with this one. I have -4 is less than x minus 2. I'm going to solve by adding 2 to both sides. And they will cancel, and I'm left with x. And then -4 plus 2 gives me -2. Then I'm going to solve this one. Add 2 to both sides to get x by itself. These ones cancel, and I'm left with x is less than 3 plus 2, which is 5. So now I have my two compound inequalities, and I'm going to put them on the same number line. So open circle at 5 and a close, or open circle at -2. And then this one, the arrow goes this way. And for this one, there it goes this way. So it is a correct answer because they went towards each other, and it's an and statement. Now we have the or statement, and we know it's an or statement because there's the word or. And then I'm going to solve them each separately and graph them on the same number line. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And then I have 3y is or less than -8 plus 5 gives me -3. Divide by 3. I'm left with y is less than -1. And then I'm going to solve this one separately by adding 1. Divide by 2. And then graph each of these on the same number line. So I'll have, I'll have an open circle at -1 going this way, and an open circle at 3 going this way. And that is what we will be doing today on the assignment. It's 2.5. I think I posted it already in the Google Classroom. Yes. 2.5 compound inequalities. You have all day today to work on it, and we will have a work day on Friday to finish it as well. So if you don't finish it today, we will have time in class on Friday as well. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here